Hello, welcome to the Jann Arden podcast. I am here. I am ready for the day. I am joined, as always, by Caitlin Green in her Toronto home, Sarah Burke in her Toronto home. And I say that because technology is fantastic. And I am in Springbank, Alberta. And listen to how crisp and wonderful this sounds. If you're listening on headphones, it probably feels like I'm speaking to you from your heart inside of it.
A little ASMR to start the show today.
No, listen.
Why not?
It's a great day here. The sun is shining. The sunrise this morning was brilliant. I got home from Toronto last night. I did 3 Indigo events and signed for people. And I'll tell you right now, it is a emotional, very touching, fills me with gratitude. These experiences are not what people think. You know, you think, oh, people go to sign and you sit there on your desk and you have your Sharpie and you're like, next, and you sign your name. And it's not like that at all. This is such an interactive personal experience. And I have to give it up to Indigo and all the people that put these events together. They were all, I'm going to hit my do not disturb button. All these events were completely sold out. So thank you to people for coming to support. It was a paid event. Everyone got an LP, so they got some vinyl. But people brought their books, their old books. You know, I signed whatever. I signed some horseshit T-shirts. Anyway, what I was going to say is there was a 45-minute Q&A to start off. And the things people ask me are mind-boggling. For one thing.
Like what? What's an example?
Yeah, like don't leave
They
us
talk
hanging
about
on that.
grief. They talk about this one girl was just like, I lost my dog 6 months ago and I'm still trying to get over it. And she was crying, and then other people cry. There's people with cancer. There's people that their mothers have early onset Alzheimer's. There's people that are going through divorces. There's people that are, queer people, that trans people, marginalized people, out of jobs. I mean, it runs the gamut, but we do 45 minutes of ask me anything. There's nothing that's off limits.
Was
And
anyone interviewing you?
No.
So you were like
no
hosting
MC.
yourself.
I'm introduced and then I am given the microphone, and there's a couple of people from Indigo that go around with mics and make sure that they connect with the people that have their hands in the air. We can't get to all the questions.
Of course.
And then I sit down and I sign stuff for 2 hours and then have further conversations at that point.
Yeah.
But it is the most special interactive thing that I actually get to hear from people, where they started listening to me, weddings, funerals, when parents died, brothers. They have like a minute with me because we have to get through 140 people. And I just leave feeling very filled up. So I thank you to everyone that came to the events once again. And yeah, I'm sitting here really, really grateful and so amazed that anyone shows up. It's just
the fan base that you have is, there's a little bit of like the readers, there's a little bit of the music, there's a little bit of the podcast. So I imagine that you get a really good variety of questions from a crowd like that.
Yeah, lots of podcasters.
Well, a podcast listener actually tagged us in. She posted some stories, and it was video of you at the event talking about the podcast, and she tagged us in it. So I popped in and I saw the tag, and I was like, "What is this?" And it was you talking about the podcast, and it was really nice. And it like speaks to the multifacetedness of your career, because people can connect with you in so many different places and in so many different ways.
Well, there was only Jan's shirts.
Oh my gosh.
Which was so great. There was quite a few only Jann shirts at every event.
I love that.
At my event too, at the International Women's Day event, I saw some Only Jan's shirts in the crowd.
So good.
So funny.
No, it's fantastic. But anyway, that was my last week. It was very satisfying, and did the Mary Berg show, taped that. I think it's on later this week.
You went to Chum while I wasn't there. You went to my ex-boyfriend's house.
Home.
Such a good way to put it.
I know. I went to your ex-boyfriend's house. I did. I talked to Marilyn.
How was that?
It was fantastic. She saw me in the building and she said, can you pop into Chum tomorrow? So I was able to make up for it, because last time I didn't go to Chum to promote Mixtape. So yeah, it was really great. I was with David, and I immediately recognized him. You know, because when I think about the fellow that's co-hosting with her now, I couldn't place the name. And as soon as I saw him, I went, oh my God, Jann, you've seen this guy dozens of times. And
David
then
Corey.
Simone was there, and he was sort of the producer, and he was doing contesting and things like that. Very nice guy.
Yeah, Simone was there for a bit with me. He's a sweetheart. And David is my old program director.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how you would have known him, because he used to be the program director for Chum, and now he's co-host of the morning show. So it's like a funny little transition. I remember texting Marilyn when they announced that he would be filling it in, because filling it in when they announced that he would be taking over, and I was long gone at this point. But I was on holiday with my husband for our anniversary. And everybody had been trying to guess who's going to come and take the spot on the Chum Morning Show. And people would always text me. And I was like, guys, I don't know anything. I'm out of this. I'm home with a baby. And then I jokingly said to her when I saw the announcement, because my phone started blowing up. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm in the middle of upstate New York. And I joked to her, I was like, when I saw this news, I nearly fell off the massage table I was on.
I hate
That's a good thing to fall off of.
The massage.
I'm like, what the heck is going on? But anyways, yeah, he was a good program director to me when I was there, so that's cool.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
I had a chance. Chris and I also had a quick breakfast with her afterwards. We went to, I forget where the heck we went, but it was very nice.
You went to one in the Hazelton Hotel.
Oh, there we go.
That's her breakfast to her place. That's where she goes with everybody. That's where I went. I went for breakfast with her a while ago.
Yeah, it was nice and airy and big, and we sat and we had a good catch up and visited. And
what'd you order?
I ordered some kind of Turkish tomatoey
shakshuka.
Yes.
I don't know what it was very good. The sourdough bread and dipping it into these beans and the delicious onions, and then I had a whole bunch of avocado on the side.
Oh,
Chris had an iced chai tea. They didn't have hot chai. I had the greatest cup of Earl Grey. I know this is really boring people to tears, but there's nothing like sitting in a restaurant and being waited on, which is such a lovely thing to be able to do. And just, I don't know, just eating a piece of bread.
Love it.
And having a cup of tea is pretty awesome. But anyway, that was one of my big fun things the whole week. And then, of course, ladies and gentlemen, I had a lovely dinner at Susur Lee's restaurant in Richmond with Caitlin, Sarah, and our friend Meredith Shaw was able to pop in. And the meal was superb.
Oh my God. Everyone I know is like, oh, he was there, because we got to say hello to him. And apparently
he came over to the table.
His
he
son
didn't know who
is
I was. He just knew I looked familiar, and he's just like, "What do you? Are you in food?" I'm like, "No, well, I eat food, a lot of it, but I'm a singer." And then he was like, "Oh, yeah,
yeah." He clued in rather fast. My my cousin, who's a bit of a foodie, like follows him on socials, and apparently him and his son have this thing where his son is constantly like challenging him to make something creative out of like a bag of Cheetos or like something he'll just pull out of a cupboard. So they're apparently the two of them are very funny to follow online. I followed last week.
I'm following too. He's got like
it was a crazy good meal.
Followers. Yeah, we had a whole bunch of stuff to share. If you do get a chance to go to Toronto, Lee's is very easy to get to.
It's on Richmond.
It's Richmond, but it's close to everything. If you're going to a Raptors game or if you're going to a concert, you are 10 minutes walking to anything that you want to get to.
And the dining room is really beautiful.
It really is. It's so lovely. I had a drink.
Very underdressed.
I had a like my $14 mocktail, and it spilled all over my lap and all over my vest. But it wasn't anybody's fault. But it was very refreshing on my lady bits.
Oh, I like that.
It just sort of poured over, and I thought, "Whew, I'm awake now. I'm ready. I'm ready for this convo." Usually that happened back in the day when I was, drinking. But this was just a mocktail, folks.
He's like, I'm sober, I swear.
Anyway.
I just said to Jann before we started recording, I'm like sober curious today after 4 days of drinking. I'm like, oh God, my body. Not a good feeling.
What were you drinking? Did you get drunk any of those nights?
Yes. I actually saw Caitlin in real life yesterday. She was the guest on one of the other network podcasts. So I was telling her there was this like Russian banquet hall. It was the weirdest thing, but like so much fun. 40th birthday party. So like picture like a long dining room table as if you were entertaining, people for a dinner. 6 courses. But each table in this banquet venue, it's a different group, a different celebration. Like all the tables don't know each other yet. The dance floor, like almost picture a wedding, it's combined. So everybody eats and then everybody gets up and dances. It was so much fun. It was so random.
That is random.
Yeah, it's called Babushka Club, I think. I learned some Russian words. It was interesting. So that was the grand finale. But I went to a couple concerts last week, and I wasn't drinking like crazy other than 2 nights, but I did have like a consistent flow of alcohol for the whole week, and I think that's why I feel like shit now.
So when I
That'll
saw
do it.
when I saw you at my condo,
Oh yes, on
what
Saturday,
stage were we in there? Were we on like day 3 of drinking or
approaching the grand finale?
approaching the grand finale? Okay.
You were pre-babushka, however. I saw Sarah post Russian 40th celebration, and like she was de-energized at this point.
I got to meet little Stevie.
So did Caitlin.
She sat on my lap in the car.
Oh, she wouldn't come to me. She was just like, Jann, your energy is too much for me right now.
Yeah, she was like, "Why are we downtown again?"
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to give Jann her birthday card, which of course I forgot to bring to the dinner. And we're now at this point of recording 3 days away from your birthday. So I feel like we should ask you how you feel
I don't
for
even
your
know
birthday.
what date it is. My birthday, I believe, is on Friday. Is that the 27th?
Yes. Yeah. 24th.
For someone who's not into birthdays, I sure keep bringing it up.
It's Thursday.
Yeah. Thursday the 27th.
So Caitlin and I are sitting there just to wrap up this part of the podcast. We had been talking about birthdays, a lot of April birthdays, that I'd missed the girls' birthdays, yada, yada, yada. So for some reason, Susur thought that he would give us all the desserts, candles, everything else. But Sarah left. She had to go to a show.
A showcase,
after dinner with us. So Caitlin and I are sitting there. All these candles show up. These 4 fudgy, brownie-ish, delightful things. A creme brulee, some kind of an ice cream as an accompaniment, and then like an apple tart. Is that what came?
Black sesame creme brulee and a Normandy-style apple tart, and it was heaven.
I'm telling you, that apple tart was, it was out of this world. But anyway, we're sitting there. We had all the candles and stuff, and I'm like, Caitlin, you're taking this stuff back to Kyle.
We also look like crazy people because it's Jann and I at the table, and there's enough candles to start a small fire, and all of the plates say happy birthday on them. And so we just look like I don't know, we looked unwell with all these celebratory desserts, but it was fun.
You know what? We also,
thank God.
To also wrap up one other thing, we did get a bunch of messages on our socials about how Meredith is doing. And like, I think that's her story and narrative to tell. And she's sharing a lot on social. So follow along with her. Just, she's obviously not working for breakfast television anymore, but she's feeling pretty good, I think. And she's figuring out what she wants to do and lean into next. So
yeah, she's great. Yeah. She's got like so much amazing stuff going on all the time. And she's got the
talent.
And she's like, she's just the best. I'm so happy to have met her working at Chum together and to just have had an opportunity to become friends and stay friends. She's a really good person and the same person no matter where she goes. Do you know what I mean? There's some people who kind of shift a bit. She's not like that. So, and she's a fellow Sagittarius. So I feel like we kind of, exactly. We always have gotten each other. We just have a shorthand.
Yeah. No, she's she's one of us, and she is encouraging and friendly and very altruistic. Like she's always cheering on the people around her, which is so refreshing. Anyway, just to cut right into what we're doing, we've got lots of things to talk about. First of all, our friend, one of our dear friends from the podcast, Russ Richards, has been missing in action. Well, I heard from someone today that he is fine.
Yes.
I got this through Instagram. He was in the hospital and he's doing great. So he's home. So I just want to thank everyone out there for, kind of making those connections. And
it shows you how much our only Jans really are there for each other. There's a little community there. We're very lucky.
They're very special. It's like it's a special group of listeners that they care so much that they went to the effort to try to track down a fellow only Jann who does not live near them at all. Geographically, he's quite far away.
He's in the UK.
Yeah.
So that's great news.
Anyway, so that's for everybody who is wondering, because we do talk about Russ quite a bit. He's just, when you talk about altruism, he's just that guy cheering us on. So right out of the gate, question via Reddit. And our male listeners might want to weigh in here. Come on, don't be shy. Send us a voice note. So what is an assumption about women that most men get wrong? And this was on Reddit. And it was, I had to laugh. So I just went and Caitlin knows a lot more about this than I do because I don't really date men or spend an inordinate amount of time. Well, I mean, I work with all men. I'm on a bus with all men, but I just mean I don't sleep with them very often, like never. And I'm very single. So some of the responses were, if we're friendly, we're automatically interested in something more than a friendship. So if that was the case with me, I'm super friendly to men, like not flirtatious. I don't think I'm flirty. Some people would disagree with me. Some people say, oh my God, you are so flirty. And I'm like, me? I don't believe that. Susur Lee. He's handsome.
He was handsome.
So anyway, carry on.
I like that one. Okay, so that was one of the responses, and I agree with that. And then what I really hate is when men who you've been friendly with and you think you have a friendship with, and they are interested in more, then they complain that they've been friend zoned. Like that was a thing for a while, and I was like, oh, because it's so horrible to be friends with a woman, right? It was like that bothered me. Like, oh, I got friend zoned. And you're like, well, then you just can become friends with that person because you have a connection with them in some way. It's like if your end goal in life is only to have sex with someone, then I feel like you need some assistance in your brain department.
But if your focus is that, fellas, it comes off as creepy. If clearly your focus is to dip the wick, it comes off as creepy.
It is.
So, but if you're sincerely wanting to get to know someone, to endear yourself to them, to show them that you're a little more than that. Yeah. That's women respond to that too, I would imagine.
100%. Okay, so the next one, which I totally resonate with, is that we're all obsessed with getting married or having kids.
Yeah, everyone.
Holy heck. Underline this one.
I have never even spent time thinking about either of these things, but people I love have like made their vision boards and been like, I'm looking for this type of marriage and can't wait to have kids. And that's fine. But I don't spend time thinking about it.
Like when you go on dates, because you are actively dating right now.
Yeah.
Is it a conversation that comes up really early on in some of these meetings? Like if you go for a coffee meeting, is it like, so do you want kids? Like, is that right out of the gate?
I feel like it's a natural thing to come up if it's like a dating app guy, because I think it kind of feels like no one's really looking to waste their time in that sense. Like everyone's kind of willing to be upfront, because that can be a deal breaker, right? If someone wants kids and someone doesn't, someone's going to get hurt along the way. So yeah, it's come up pretty easily the last like few guys that I've dated. And like, if someone is, even me, like, even though I'm telling you right now, I don't think about having kids or like having a big wedding or anything like that. Like I don't think about it. If it meant a lot to someone I was dating, I may think twice about it out of my love for that person. So that's where it might change the conversation.
Yeah, cool. That was always my experience. I intentionally sabotaged a few early on date situations when I started feeling like I was being interviewed for my uterus. I was like, okay, we're out. I was like, no, you know what?
The microphone was pointing at your navel. So, Caitlin's uterus. What? How?
And just like someone who's just there, you've sat on a patio for a date, and it's the first time you've ever really spent time together. And they're like, so I want lots of kids. And immediately I'm like, well, I don't want any, in fact, and I revile children. So perhaps you should leave, because this is not the way to go about wooing me, which isn't even true. It put me on the defense for whatever reason. I didn't like that line of questioning. And
well, it reads like the obsession is actually the men on that end of it, because it's basically saying that women are obsessed. We're all obsessed with getting married or having kids. That is not my experience.
All three of us.
So many women that I know, like friends that I know. It's just, most of them are even saying now, after 20 years of marriage, or they're saying, if I break up with so-and-so, I would never get married again. I would just hang out with my girlfriends, live my life, travel,
Yeah.
you know, do stuff that really interested me and, you know, go back to school. Like it was never like, oh, I got to find somebody else and partner up again. That's not
It's
what I'm hearing.
not a red flag if it comes up like, oh yeah, like, you know, I have a nephew and, you know, that's about it. That's enough work, you know, like when it comes up like that in relation to, you know, then it's not a weird thing because
What
they're
was the
just
next
sharing.
one, Caitlin?
The next one is that women have it easy in the dating world. And this is also a misnomer that straight men have about gay men. That they're like, gay men have it so easy. Again, because if you're defining success by having sex with someone, then so many men will say like, oh, gay guys have it so easy. And my gay male friends will quickly be like, what do you mean? And they're like, because you guys can just hook up with each other whenever you want. And
If
like,
you
so much
ask
harder.
Chris that, he would go ballistic.
Exactly. And so same with
how incorrect that is.
And same with my gay friends, for sure. I saw Army Hammer, of all people, has a podcast now, and he said the same thing. He told the story about how he said he like tried to dip his toe in Grindr because he was like looking for casual sex and thought that gay men had it so much easier on the app to do that, and then realized he wasn't gay. I was like, yeah, okay. I think you have some more therapy to do away from your podcast. The next one is that women always want to talk about feelings.
Nope.
Yeah, also true. Absolutely not. Quite the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't really think I ever want to talk about my feelings.
Yeah.
Like you'd have to drag that out of me.
100%.
I want to talk about stuff that's going on in the world. I want to know about what's going on with you guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm as opposed to that. I want to make sure that my friends and people that know me can say anything to me. But wow, that women always want to talk about feelings. I feel like there's a lot of mirroring going on here.
Right?
There's a lot of projectionism going on here.
Yeah, I see that as well. Okay, this is another one that I think is good. That when a woman says she's a feminist, it equals I hate men.
Oh, guys.
No.
This is society. This is just like this is the overarching theme I'm seeing here. Is society is saying that women are obsessed with getting married or having kids, and society says that we have it easy in the dating world, and that if you say you're a feminist, you don't like men. Like this is very outdated, not modern stereotypes.
Yeah.
I think men are always, if not very often, blaming women for controlling the sexual narrative and the power of if they're going to have sex or not, that's in our court, that we say red light, green light. No, not that much. I mean, I understand that, but that's the rules of the road. I think if society was different and a man didn't want to go as far as a woman wanted to go, I mean, you just don't hear stories like that because we don't have the physical power to control things like that. Like, we're not going to overpower a man and force him to have any kind of sexual relation with us. It doesn't work that way. So I think men get so frustrated, like it should be the same for both. It should be the same for both of us.
I just think also drive is very different. And so there is a bit of a, you know, if you look at it from the view of the economy, there's like a scarcity, there's a supply and demand aspect to it as well. But I just think that some old fashioned kind of way of thinking has infected certain men's brains. And I would encourage them to revisit the year 2025 because I don't think it all applies anymore. This is another one.
Okay.
This is what that being harassed and catcalled are compliments.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, it's scary.
Yeah. No.
No.
Just no. That's a hard
They've
no.
done experiments with, you know, in social media where they've had men going down the street with their whatever, their briefcases or their their bag lunches, and they're just walking down the street and they'll have like two women sitting at a cafe catcalling them. And the looks, like you can literally check that hashtag out on any social media platform and you will just see guys going, what the F was that?
Yeah.
Like they're so unnerved. They just can't believe, A, why are you talking to me? Why are you singling me out? And it's embarrassing because they're looking around going, you can't possibly be, you know, putting that on me.
Yes.
I'm just walking to work.
No, it's super rude. It's rude, weird, antisocial behavior. It is immediately the biggest weird red flag vibe off of a person ever.
How could that
I've
be
never
perceived as a
enjoyed it.
compliment? So someone enlighten me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. Like, I've never been like walked away from a cat call being like, "Oh, that was a compliment." Like, no, I'm always like, "What the hell?" I'm one of those people who yells back at those people, but
Yeah.
not
I think
cool.
I think the only time I've ever said anything back was a guy who was like too close to me, who gave the typical like, "You should smile more," like something like that.
Oh,
And
fuck.
this
No.
was a long time ago. This was before I think that particular line had so much attention drawn to it. I don't know if men are still saying it now, but he
Yeah.
said that to me, and I told him to breathe less. Which is true.
Good.
Now, answer me this. I personally know such good men.
Me too.
I have been blessed with the greatest guys in my life. I work with such great men. From my management company to my record company to the guys in my band to friendships that I have nurtured over the years, that are friends. They're friendships. Like there was never any question of what these things were. They were friends. And if there was anything other than that, then it went completely over my head. And the fellow did his very best to go, she's not into it. She's probably kind of gay, and I think I should just be her friend. But for them, it's got to be frustrating when they're up against this kind of dialogue with the opposite sex and the perceptions, because they're out there opening doors, being gentlemen. Chivalry is alive and well, like all those kinds of things that men just want to be really decent people. I would think that would be this is a difficult climate for them, politically, emotionally, just, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty unfair to them. I think they probably don't like it. Most of the guys I know who talk about this sort of thing and how it makes them feel will say overwhelmingly that they realize that a few bad apples are kind of ruining the general perception. But I think that they are not frustrated with women, they're frustrated with those guys. Like they just are like, why are these losers wrecking it for the rest of us? And because we're not bad people. And so yeah, and I think that I always feel like there's a trickiness to it when you have a son as well, for me, because you like really want to be conscientious of how you're raising them and how you want them to interact with women and interact with the rest of the world. And predominantly to be like a safe, respectful person, but for their own mental health. Like a lot of the men who behave in really weird ways like that and sort of exhibit the behaviors that we're outlining on this Reddit thread, I think ultimately like they have some mental health issues going on, whether they're depressed or they're really, really angry, or maybe they have experiences that they're still carrying with them. And that's why they engage with women in the way that they do, or why they focus their identity on sex. So I think when that stuff comes up, I really just want them to go talk to somebody. I'm like, I want you to go talk to someone, maybe a male therapist, but.
Has anybody seen the Netflix limited series called Adolescence?
I haven't worked up the courage to watch it yet.
Okay.
No, but it's
Well,
coming highly recommended.
I think it's one of the best crime psychological in-depth studies of human nature that I've ever seen. So there's one line in it. I don't want to give anything away about this show. It's a must-see. It is extremely heavy, but it is exceptional in every way. So there's a line in there that a young boy is saying to a social worker, and they're talking about boys and girls in school and things like that. And he's talking about the 80-20. This weaves in and out of their relationship. And she finally says, what is this 80-20? He said, 80% of the girls only want 20% of the boys. And it's a really pivotal part of the story. And I think it is statistically accurate. In whoever wrote this piece, this drama, an 80-20 is absolutely a real thing. That 80% of the girls only are interested in 20% of the boys.
How does everyone else get together, though? I feel like asking them.
I don't know, but I think when you're talking about adolescence and when you're talking about teenagers and when you're talking about being popular in school, when you're talking about captain of the football team shit or all of those dynamics that come into play as you're growing up and going through puberty. I think back to my high school, that is absolutely true. There was
I'm
just
trying
a
to
few
think.
guys that all the girls wanted.
Yeah, it was that checks out, I think.
Yep, I'm trying to think of it in terms of like, yeah, I mean, there's always popular people. There's always
Yeah.
more popular people. So I don't know. I think that seems to me to a very difficult piece of data to really.
I know.
I kind of
It's
call into
really tough,
question
but this was the
that.
guy's perception in this
Yes.
particular film, and it was heartbreaking because he went on to say how ugly he thought he was, and he was so not ugly. He
Yeah.
was an adorable, cute-looking 14-year-old kid.
But that's what I mean about the mental health piece. And I think that they, in an effort to avoid therapy or talking about how you feel or being vulnerable, it's easier to just blame women. They don't want me. It's their fault. I'm entitled to sexual contact with women. I'm entitled to a romantic relationship with them. And it's also putting that at a higher value than any other thing in your life, which is strange and unbalanced. So I do think, yeah, like obviously that's a very sad thing to hear from the perspective of a teen boy because it's not inaccurate. Because then if you pointed to him, you'd be like, hey, that's not actually true, or there wouldn't be humans because nobody would get together because 20% of men are not procreating on behalf of the rest of the world. It's just not true. You're just going to
it's obviously how they're feeling.
I wonder if that's
But
a
I
good.
mean, I graduated high school in 1980. So when you think back to over 45 years ago, it's like, wow, this is, or how many years it is. It's frightened me to even say that number to you just now. But it's like, I just remember a handful of guys that all the girls liked. But I think there was also this social construct that was part of that too. Is, there was a competitive thing going on, and
Yeah.
you
Like
wanted
who
to
will
like
get the guy?
the ones that the other girls liked. Like it's all about fitting in. But yeah,
Yeah.
walk down any street, go to the mall sometime and see the people holding hands. There's a sock for every old shoe, ladies and gentlemen. And
Honestly,
people and friends, and I'm not supposed to say ladies and gentlemen anymore, but I mean that in a very general term.
yeah,
To your
yeah, I will watch that eventually. I just can't.
Yeah.
I haven't been up for it. I've seen it and it's been there on the screen, and I keep seeing so many people recommend it, and I'm like, not yet. I go to watch
Yeah.
it at night after the end of a long, stressful day, and I'm like, I just want to watch Southern Charm.
This reminded me, like, okay, are you guys caught up on White Lotus yet?
Not yet. Don't.
Okay.
Don't spoil.
5 episodes, correct?
Like last night was the new one. Did you watch it? No, you were in bed by then.
No,
You're
I
gonna
didn't
watch
watch.
it
I
tonight.
didn't watch the new one last night. I need to.
Okay.
I'll get to it this week.
Yeah. So without me giving anything away,
Okay, you better not, or I'm gonna snap this lid down on this computer so fast. I don't know what to hit you.
I'm gonna leave.
There's a piece of the storyline that already started with, the episodes that you have seen that we find out a little more about and like see some reaction about. But anyway, it did remind me of like sort of a grade school dynamic and where for some reason, like someone is pushing you to like someone, like, oh, you're the single one, why don't you go check that out? But then but they are actually interested in them psychologically.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about already.
Yeah.
No, that's so common.
There's lots of stuff going on. That's
It
mind
reminded me of
games.
a million different things in high school, and I was like, "What? And this is like adult life? Why is this happening now?"
No, let me tell you, because some people have been commenting that they find that this particular season of The White Lotus is not as good as the last one or whatever. I love it. This show, every single time it's released, it lives in my head rent free. I can't wait for the next episode. Inhabiting the world that Mike White creates in this show is amazing to me, and everyone is so lucky to be living in the time of White Lotus. I could not love a show more. The dynamics.
I'm like uneasy of like I left last night's episode like very uneasy. To go to bed after was not a good plan.
Okay. Well, I'm really excited to see it.
Yeah, tonight's the night.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it is very easy. It doesn't feel like reality in a way that something like adolescence makes you sit in your own sorrow and shame.
Because he knows that it feels okay to be sort of a fly on the wall audience member to the strange lives of the super rich. He's created a dynamic that is not at all like reality. And everything takes place in the super rich, most luxury place ever. And so you don't feel bad watching these people. You don't feel bad when bad things kind of happen to some of them, because it's this mentality that you are almost like allowed and encouraged to have by society. When it's a bad thing happening to a billionaire, you're like, how bad could it be?
Well, nothing's off limits.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
they don't seem to get hung over or have overdoses, or nothing really nefarious happens to them. Anyway, yes, there's so much good television out there. I don't even know where to begin, but now I'm going to watch that later this week.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know
Me
it was
too.
out. We're going to just go to something fun. And I really love this idea of vacation roulette. And I'm going to let you tell us what that is, because this is so up my alley. I travel with 3 other women. Every year we go somewhere and do something super fun. And I've kind of been just choosing, because I don't mean to be bossy, but these guys would never make up their mind, right? We'd be trying to figure out where we're going to go for months, and no planning would get done. So I'm just like, we're going to Scotland, we're going to stay in blah, blah, blah. So tell me about vacation roulette, because this sounds fun.
Yeah, so this is a travel trend where friends and family are trying to make a game out of their travel plans. And so each person writes down a potential destination. They put all the destinations in a hat, and then one gets drawn at random. So if you know you want to go away with a set group of people, and you, generally speaking, trust their taste in locations, and you have a set budget in mind, and it works for all those things, I love this idea. I think it would be really fun.
Oh, I think it's great too. I mean, I'm a little leery about throwing a dart on a map. I think that could really screw you over. Like, you could end up like, I can't even speculate of how many terrible
going
places.
to Russia.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you know what? And yet, as you say that, I have heard so many beautiful stories about how gorgeous Russia is, how unbelievable
It is, yeah.
Moscow is, the architecture, the people, the food. You know, people are kind of damned there because they're being led by a madman, and they decided to go to war with a country that was just sitting there being a country. But I do feel like Russia has got a lot of amazing things to see and do. I will not be going anytime soon, and I don't think anyone else should be either. There's too many things that could happen. But yeah, I mean, I love that idea. Every place we've been to, like Iceland was one of those. We just got together, like, what if, let's go there. And it's just, and there's so many places that I want to see. Are you guys return vacationers? Like, if you find something cool, do you go back there, or do you just want to go, no, I want to see something new. I want to see something new.
If it's with family, so like you're going with, like, maybe you went with friends somewhere and then your family's like, oh, we're going and you should come. That's the only time I would return somewhere. I would usually like to check out a new spot, I would think. You know,
I'm a
especially,
return traveler for sure.
Yeah.
Where have you been to a couple of times?
Oh my God. I've been to Paris. I've been to Italy. We've been to Spain. And then, like, in Canada, we would go to the Eastern Townships pre-will annually or biannually. Like, we would go back once or twice a year. We
Right.
would rent the same cottages. I want to go back to the exact resort that we spent our anniversary at in September again. I mean, I was like, there's so much more I want to see here. And so I do feel the same way about places that I've already been. Like, I would love to get back to Copenhagen. I would love to get
Copenhagen's
back.
amazing.
Yeah. And I still want to see new places, of course, as well. But it just depends on how up for that trip you are. And of course, like, you know, people go multiple times to New York. I've gone multiple times to Vegas, although that was not by choice. And I would definitely love to go back to London and LA. So a lot of the great cities, you can't really check all the boxes in one trip. So that's
Oh my
true,
God.
yeah.
It's like, you need 3 weeks to get through Disneyland if you want to do it right. But who the hell in their right mind is going to do that?
That's
But yeah,
true, yeah.
I mean, anywhere through Scandinavia. And usually when I'm working, we really don't get to see much at all. We just go, we do our thing, we get out of there. I'm a little apprehensive about going to Miami like next week, in 10 days or so. I
We
have to go
both
for a
have
job.
American trips.
I've got a
next-
job down there that I have to go do. And, you know, there's a lot of
I'm
people
going
that
to Florida
say,
this week.
Are you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All three of
So
us. Never mind.
tell me how you're feeling, because I don't want to get my mind going someplace where it doesn't need to go.
Okay, so I won't add to it. But no, I feel fine. I feel fine about going. I don't like it kind of leaves like a meh, like a sandy taste in my mouth a little
You're
bit
not
just
concerned at
because
all about going over the border.
no, I'm not. And maybe that's foolhardy of me. I could prove me wrong, universe. I'm going to be, cautious, and I'm always
So what are you
respectful of
doing?
border rules. I'm going down to visit friends who have a home in Florida. So we're
Okay.
staying with them, which is nice. And they're in a particularly safe part of Florida. I've been to Florida so many times. And so we're going down there with them, and it'll be really fun to see them. I think we might pop over at one point to do a quick jaunt to New Orleans, actually, if we have time.
You'll have to fly there, will
Kids?
you not?
Yeah, yep, we would have to fly there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is Will
So,
coming or no?
pardon me?
Is Will coming?
Oh no, he's not coming. He's staying here. Yeah,
Oh, even better.
it's a mom and dad trip. So it's great. It's a short trip, but the trepidations I have are mostly around, how do you navigate any difficult conversations that may come up if people you wonder, you're like, oh, how do people feel about Canadians? Like, do they feel combative with us right now because of the political situation that's going on in the world, or do they feel like many Americans who are on social media saying, oh my God, we feel terrible, like we love our neighbors, like do they feel the same way that we feel about this? So I am curious to know how the different
Yeah.
political views will mesh. And we also have, Jan, I think do you have what do you call it? What's the border security thing that I'm now forgetting the
Nexus.
name? Yeah, do you have Nexus?
Nexus, yeah, I do have Nexus,
I have it
and
too.
I'm getting a visa, but every day the American government, we keep checking on this visa for Chris and I both. It was $3,000 to get these visas each,
Oh.
and you don't talk to a person. They just say, keep checking the site, keep refreshing.
Mm.
That's how you'll know you'll have it. That's how you'll know it's been approved. So when it gets down to 48 hours before this job, I'm going to have to make a decision with my office to cancel the job, because I'm
Yeah.
not going without a work visa. I'm not going down to make money in a country and say, I've been waiting on a visa, I don't have it yet. For one thing, I'd fuck up my Nexus stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm very worried about the company that hired me. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think they realized that what a shit show it was going to be to
'Cause it was
have a
long ago that you
Canadian
got
person.
hired.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 6 months ago it wouldn't have been an issue at all. But
Totally.
now it's an issue. But it's on the back of my mind. It's niggling away, and I just going through all the questions and stuff. I'm like, if I'm having any trouble, I'm just not going to go. I'm just going to be there going, you know what? I don't need to go, because if you guys are going to put me through the paces here about what money I'm making, where I'm paying the income
Mm-hmm.
tax, I don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how it
Mm.
works. I've never
Yeah.
Yeah.
handled a check in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
Well,
mean? So
I was detained at a land border crossing. This was years ago. It was during the Bush administration, I believe. And my unbeknownst to both of us, my ex-boyfriend had a warrant out for his arrest in Egypt. That's a long story for another episode. However, he didn't know this was out there. Like, he didn't know this was flagged, and his family has property in the US. And so we had gone to the US many times without any issue. So we went, and I'm talking, dogs came into the car, men with rifles came. I was put in handcuffs. I went into a pee-pee soaked heck
what?
hole of a jail cell for 3 hours
Oh my
until
God.
it was crazy. It was a crazy experience. It's not one that I recommend. It's not one that I would do
I would have had
again.
a heart attack.
Yeah, I think I was just so young. I was like just so young, and just like, how when you're younger, you're just like, meh, like you just kind of, I didn't like it. But we ended up turning around exactly as you outlined, Jan, and just said, oh, I didn't know that was allowed. I was so young. I was like, oh, like, I think we're stuck here now. And they were like, no, if you just decide you don't want to enter the US, you can turn around and talk to a lawyer and figure this all out, which is what we wound up doing. But they were really crazy with their questioning with me. And so, yeah, I wouldn't put myself probably through that
Yeah,
again.
I
I
don't
would
want to
just
get
turn around and
captured
go.
by ICE going. But I mean, I clearly do not want to stay in the United States. I clearly want to come home to my house.
Sure.
I'm
Mhm.
clearly not going down there to get a job that is a 6-month contract with an
Mm-hmm.
invisible, made up company. Like, I don't think I meet any of the criteria of being the least bit suspicious.
Yeah, you have return airfare booked. You have
Well,
all this.
yeah, and
Yeah.
further to that, I'm a known person in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can go onto social media and find out, Jann's not going to be trying to, I'm going to pull one over on them and I'm going to move to Coconut Grove. They're not even going to know.
Yeah, I have friends who recommended to me though, like certain things, like they were like, you should turn your phone off when you cross through now. Because they can ask you for your passcode, but they can't make you turn your phone on. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I mean, we're going on a vacation, so I think it's a different, I would assume it's a different, but we'll find out. I mean, it's all new to everyone, right? Like this is supposed to be our best friend. The US is supposed to be our best friend and our neighbor. We're supposed to be like, hey, like high-fiving across the border as we have for decades. And so to have an about face like this occur in a matter of weeks is shocking to so many people. That's the part of going that I feel weird about, because it's just a different global tone right now, and that is strange.
It's a bit different. Like, yeah, there was actually a whole post that the conference I'm going to put for Canadian and international travelers going to the US and what they need to be prepared for. So like, because, you will be saying like, I'm going for a conference. Imagine traveling and being like, yes, my company, Women in Media, and that getting flagged as like something that's, I don't know, too woke for, I don't know, who knows. So there's like a list of things that I'm supposed to check. And like, who knows about Nexus? Like, Caitlin, you'll have to tell us if anything weird happens with Nexus while you do have it, you said, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, both my husband and I do have it. So I would hope that the advanced screening portion that you undergo for Nexus, like, because you have to have all these background checks, retinal scans, like we've done all the things. So part of me would hope that makes them
let's
more
hope
ready
that doesn't turn into a rectal scan.
Oh my God. Well, again, I would just leave.
I guess like the part that's like scary is it was a different administration that made you go through this, right? Like what is required to
I just would hope that they still, because you're considered a secured traveler, so I would hope that still applies, but I don't know.
Who knows what buttons like have been turned off in the last 3 months.
Maybe if I get the visa, I won't be concerned. I literally will give him the paperwork that is stamped by his government or her and carry on. My next door neighbor, they've been renting there for about 18 months. He's a border security at the Calgary airport. I've seen them a handful of times, over the time they've been here, but they really love it here. They love Alberta. They love being here. They love the river. They're always saying just how friendly everybody is and how great it is. Maybe I should drop his name when I get to Toronto. Listen, I'm neighbors with Tim Sheffield. I'm just making names right now. Anyway, as always, great to talk to you girls. We, as always, are going to end this little session here with some voice notes. So if you want to play us a couple of those, Sarah, that would be great. Let's see what's going on in people's minds.
Hi, Jann, Sarah, and Caitlin.
Hello.
It's Sue Hopgood. I'm looking forward to the golf tournament again this year. Only this year I'm not going to show up with a broken leg, so that will make it a lot better. And speaking of that tournament, Jann, in our swag bags there was Cove soda. And I have to tell you, I am now a Cove soda addict.
Yes.
But it's Canadian, and there's no sugar and no calories, and it's a healthy probiotic beverage. So there's worse things to be addicted to.
There sure is.
Thank you for introducing me to Cove soda. Sarah, I also just wanted to comment on your complicated relationship with your sister and let you know that I also had a complicated relationship with my sister for many years. And about 27 years ago, it started to turn around. Also because my sister had babies. And at this point in my life, there is nothing that I want to experience without her. And when I broke my leg, she was with me, and there's no one else that I would have wanted to be there at that time. So there is hope, and crazy sister relationships can turn around.
Feels
Jann,
good.
I also wanted to comment about when you were in Winnipeg and had dinner with Wab Canoe. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. You're right. He is a very handsome man and super emotionally intelligent. And his wife is a physician, and she's stunningly beautiful, and they look like they walked off the cover of a magazine. The other person from Winnipeg who I think is fascinating that I would love to hear an interview with is Nahanni Fontaine. She's an MLA there. I don't know if she was at your dinner, probably, because she is, I think, the minister of their women's portfolio. I can't remember the exact name. But
We'll
she's
find out.
also stunning and super brilliant and super smart and has a lot of great things to say.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your message. I love that was a potpourri of a message as well. Lots of different things going on there. Yes, Wob Canoe is great. I did not meet his wife that night. I quickly met his assistant, who was equally as lovely, a woman that he had with him. But yeah, I'm telling you, we enjoy these.
Keep them coming. I mean, next week is April Fool's, and Caitlin and Jen are supposed to record on April Fool's, but who knows if it'll actually happen. So tell us your April Fool's jokes. Did you guys have good ones when you were younger?
No.
I once told I was on a holiday. I was in Mexico. It was a corporate job, but we were playing music at this resort for this company, blah, blah, blah. Everyone was sitting on the beach, obviously lots of drinking going on. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. The sun's high in the sky. And I go up to everybody. April Fool's has been completely forgotten about. No one's even thinking about it. And I go up, oh my God, you guys, Jesus Christ. I just got right into character. I said, fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger died of a massive heart attack. And my drummer, Lyle, he stood up. He goes, no fucking way. What the fuck? Heart attack. And I tried to hang on to the moment as long as I could. And I mean, that is like a terrible April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
But I was really committed to it. And this is 20 years ago.
Coming off
Anyway.
the voice note about my sister, I used to freeze her underwear in the freezer. I used to put little glasses of water on top of her door, so when she would open the door to go into her room, the glass of water would fall on her. I was so mean. Anyway, sorry, Joe. So yeah, it's just Jan and Caitlin next week. I'm going back to a podcast conference. I'm speaking on a panel, and there will be no pod hookups. Okay, so I'll just answer that question now.
Oh God. Well, that's kind of boring.
Well, because you two went off the rails last time I went to a podcast conference.
You know what? I don't believe that we went off the rails. I believe that is an exaggeration. Caitlin was concerned for your health and safety.
I just said conferences are inherently horny, which I stand by.
Okay, well, let's leave it at that.
I'll keep you guys posted.
You've been listening to the Jann Arden podcast. Come over to Patreon. We're going to talk about weddings. And there's some wacky things going on with weddings these days. And it is summer season. The spring is here. Wedding starts. It starts. I'm too old to be invited to weddings anymore. And the ones that I am invited to are just youngsters. They're absolute youngsters that are, 20 some odd years old. And I don't know them well. And I'm just being invited because people want me to be there at the weddings. So I just want to say, you guys are the greatest. I adore you. And this podcast has given me life this week. It really is. Okay, we'll see you next time. Toodly-doo.